Hi everybody, I'm Emilie Carasso. I'm a Regulatory Affairs Officer for the European Paints Association. I'll start with a little bit of an introduction because I'm not sure everybody knows CEPE. So we are based in Brussels, like everybody, close to our friends from the Commission. Michele, don't go away when I say that. We represent about 800 paint producers, 75 printing ink companies, and 20 artist colors companies. That's 110,000 people directly employed, and that's 85% of the market value. So whenever we come to representativity, I think that's what matters. We have a few various different sectors. You may not be aware of all of them, but you actually see our products every day. We have aerospace, so that the plane and spaceships. We have cans, so that's your can of Coke, your can of soup. Decorative coatings, which is the type of paint that you see on the walls or that you can buy in a not the supermarket, the B&Qs and all. Marine coatings on boats, protective on bridges, artist colors, which is what you're going to use if you do some painting. Coil and industrial, and powder, which are more industrial types of coatings, and the vehicle refinishes. The PEF pilot project is on the decorative coatings. So I was just highlighting that we cover a lot more, but that the PEF is only on this bit. So CEPE and sustainability. We actually started working on sustainability quite recently. A sustainability task force was created in 2010. We have worked then, the first thing we did was working on a charter, which was published in September 2012, which of course highlights that life cycle thinking is important and that you should look at the three pillars: people, planet, and profit. Sorry for the movers in the back of the room. That's what the charter looks like. You can actually find it on our website if you want. It's on the public part. Then we've worked on what we call the CEPE LCI project, so Life Cycle Inventory project, which started in September 2011, which is a cradle-to-gate project, because as I've shown you, we have a lot of different sectors, and actually making paint, whether it be for a boat or for a house, is not so different. But once you come to the application, then you get into substantial differences, I would say. What we've done there is we have compiled life cycle inventory data for 3 manufacturing processes. So that's waterborne coating, solvent-borne coating, and powder coating. And we have covered over, actually I should say 280 raw materials, because I think the last count was 283. And we have created a small tool, which we call the Eco Footprint tool, which is used to create very simple to use eco footprints. I can give you more information on this if you want in a direct discussion, but that's not the theme for today. The theme for today is that actually since November 2013, we have started the PEF-CR pilot to harmonize product category rules and discuss communication. The technical secretariat. The first part is made of trade associations, so there's us, obviously, coordinating the work. And then we have the Industrial Minerals Association, IMA, and Plastics Europe for plastics polymers, and the VDL, which is our parent association in Germany. Then we have paint manufacturers involved, representing, so we have individual persons coming from the countries listed, so France, Germany, Netherlands, Norway, UK. Of course, some of them are multinational companies. We just had someone in the panel from AkzoNobel, but Jotun, PPG are also multinational companies. And we actually have one SME, which is ONIP. And as Michele said before, it's important to engage SMEs, so we tried our best to have at least one SME with us. So what is a little bit specific to paints is that we're actually both business-to-business and business-to-consumer product. I think that's quite specific to us. I mean, the detergents probably share that as well. But we have 2 different markets to address, 2 different ways to communicate. And there is quite a big difference if you're talking to contractors or if you're talking to the consumer going in the shop. We are not a construction product, but we are applied to buildings, meaning that people expect us to follow the norms from the construction products world, so the EN 15804. I won't say a lot about it because I'm followed by real construction products, so I'm going to let them talk about all that. Claudia, that's once for you. paint actually has a very small impact. If you're looking at an overall building where you're going to have concrete, where you're going to have glass, the impact of the paint layer is not going to be very significant. So we need to make a differentiation at our level and not just look at the global building level, because then we're drowned. Finally, paint is actually a mixture of chemicals. So we do have the need to follow what's happening in the chemical sectors for consistency. We cannot just follow construction because we are actually chemicals more than construction. So what have we done in the DecoPEF? The representative product is, our scope is actually covering 84% of the 2012 market volumes. I will come here. We have decided to look at 6 real products. So as you can see, we're looking both at indoor and outdoor products with different substrates. So it can be wood, it can be masonry. We are also looking at waterborne and solvent-borne products. We're also looking at white and colored products. That's a lot of ands in this sentence. Just to cover decorative paints, which would feel like an easy product, we actually had to look at quite a lot of different products. We have at least one product per category. So the category A, B, C, D that you can see on the far right hand is actually based on the so-called Deco Paints Directive. And we felt that with this, we cover 84% of the market, which is quite big, but it's still looking at quite a lot of different details. A little bit of the issues we've met. As you can see, there are a large number of representative products. The thing is, the European Commission asked us to completely cover the scope in the screening. And that's the reason that we had to look at all of these different types of products to just screen everything and ensure that what we're developing actually works for all of these products. So we have added colored products instead of just looking at white products, which was our initial aim. And we have added waterborne trim paints on top of solvent-borne trim paints because we wanted to cover everything. More work than planned, because initially we applied with only white waterborne masonry paint. That was one very simple, small category, but then afterwards it just increased. The unit of analysis, so what the function is to provide both the decoration and the protection of a substrate. Deco paints don't only look good, they are also actually protecting the wall behind or the wood behind, and that's also the most important function, both the decoration and protection. How much? Okay, we're covering 1 square meter of substrate. How long? Even though we're not construction products, like I said, we are applied on the buildings, we're actually considering the lifetime of the building, because this way you're going to cover how often you're going to need to repaint in the 60 years that the building is going to last. And how well? Well, that's where it becomes complicated. We say here with a 98% opacity, but there's already a nice asterisk next to it saying discussions are ongoing. Why? The problem that we have comes for the how long. You have 2 different types of life when you're talking about paint. You have the design life. So, okay, I apply a coating on a wall and I see how long it lasts. So it lasts means it still protects and it still decorates. This is the approach that's recommended by the PEF guide. It sounds easy, but actually there's no way, no standard that is going to allow you to just measure a paint and tell you, okay, this one is going to last 10 years and that one is going to last 12 years. This doesn't exist. It's the first time that the industry is trying to find, I would say, a science-based way of defining the durability of coatings. And this has to be based on proxy performance properties. For example, the wet scrub resistance. So if you have a stain on your wall and you're scrubbing at it with a sponge to get it out, then are you going to have a really dark stain afterwards and you're going to need to repaint? Or is the paint a good quality paint and you won't see the difference? Or weatherability for the outdoor. Is your color of your paint going to change after one summer because it was in the sun for the whole summer? That types of things. And this is quite a lot of work, actually. The other thing that we have is what we call the real life. And I think you've all been there. Okay, I've decided I really like this red. It's, you know, in fashion this season, so I'm going to repaint my whole living room in red. And then after 6 months or a year, 2 years, I'm so fed up with this red. I need to paint it another color. Maybe this time I'll go for something more mild that I can keep for longer. But okay, that's the influence of trends, of moves, of maintenance schedules. If we're looking at the work from the Commission on the eco-label, they estimate that for all types of paints, there is a repaint every 7 years, which can be then very different from a paint that could stay for 20 years on the building. So you have quite a big difference in between. And this is, the real life is not recommended by the PEF guide because this is due to habits and not, I guess, the technical performance of the coating itself. But okay, we feel that this is important for us as well. The status of the pilot, the screening study is ongoing. We are a little bit late for two reasons, I would say. One is that the screening is quite extreme. Compared to usual LCA, with PEF, we have to include everything. There are no cutoffs. You have to look at your capital goods, that types of things, so that takes a bit longer. And also, it was very difficult to respect the indicative timeline because this fell in the summer break. And it's very difficult to get some feedback from people in summer break. We expected that, but okay, this happened. So we're about months and a half late, I guess. We had to look for additional information, which we never worked on. As I just mentioned, we've been working on sustainability only for 3 years as an association, so it's not very long. So we had to come up with a definition of a European downstream scenario. So, okay, how far is the regional distribution center? How far is the shop? What is the use phase? Do you paint the same way in Germany, in France, in Spain? What about the transport distances, etc.? Also, we now have to model what we call the auxiliary materials, which is going to be the brushes, the buckets, that types of things. We don't manufacture brushes, buckets, etc., but as it's PEF, we have to look at them and see the impact of this as well. A little bit of information on the project management, because I think that this is a little bit our specialty in this pilot. It is a big amount of work, but that's for everybody. We have this PCR development at European level, which is already taking a lot of time, but we're also trying to coordinate this with the Americans. The American Coatings Association is currently developing product category rules as well. We've told them to wait for us, they did not want to. So now we're trying to both get involved in the other project and trying to, push everything in the same direction, which is not necessarily easy. Of course, we need the agreement of a broad community on the decisions that we're making, because this is a European Commission project, meaning that the results are going to be public, and as Michele said, it's very transparent, so everything that we publish will be read, we know, and that's a little bit different than from the projects we have only within the industry. It is a pilot. We are learning by doing things. We are testing some options. It is a bit more work than for, I guess, methodologies that you've known for a very, very long time. And sometimes we have modification of the guidance documents, which is okay because it's a pilot, as just mentioned, but that means that we need to be flexible and we need to agree that sometimes we'll have to go back on what we've already done just to complete it. So the bit that's specific to us, because that was for everybody. We are managing this project internally mostly. I am actually the person doing the project management for CEPE. We have not hired a consultant for this. We wanted to manage this ourselves. Maybe a mistake, but okay, now we have started. We are a low-profile industry. Everybody buys paints, but you don't necessarily wonder about your paint like you do about your food or even your clothes. So we are new to sustainability as an association. Some of the big companies like AkzoNobel have worked on that for a long time, but other companies not necessarily. We have a lot of SMEs, mostly SMEs actually. So this is quite specific also. We are what we call, I've officially branded our pilot the low-cost pilot. As I am the one managing, not a consultant, we don't necessarily have everything available. We cannot test everything. All of the variations that Michele would like us to test, we can't always do, sorry. But we're trying our best, and we're trying to also manage the cost as much as possible. But this approach leads to shorter documents, which are more straight to the point, I think. So that's probably a benefit. And maybe we can learn from this afterwards as well. That's the other end of the spectrum. That's my last slide. We find that this is a very interesting project. It was much needed for the paint industry because, like I said, we're sitting between so many chairs, the construction, the chemicals, the B2B, the B2C, and we're hoping that the PEF project is going to help us harmonize everything, which we find beneficial. It is more complicated because we're doing it with the Commission, but maybe we'll be rewarded once it is applied, so that's why we do hope that it's going to work. And finally, the dynamics are very positive, and I think today is actually a good representation of this. It's part of a group of people that is pushing for LCA to be more broadly accepted and for sustainability to become mainstream. So of course it is very positive for us to be a part of this, even though we're new players here. That's it. Thanks for your attention.